I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees special meeting here on Monday, October 7th, 2024 at 6:06 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee? Absent.
Absent. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And just on discussion, not to get into this, but I hope with the new administrator coming on that we can have a cooperative agenda moving forward. There are a lot of items that were again refused to be dealt with, not only on this agenda, but on the prior one on October 1st. We need to work together. And I hope, like I said, moving forward, we can, that again, it's cooperative, because there's a lot of important matters that we need to deal with. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of those items are going to be on our regular meeting, but this special meeting was to keep it as succinct to those things that had to be acted upon prior to the regular meeting that'll be next Tuesday on the 15th.
Well, I would disagree that you refused those on the regular meeting just last week.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, the agenda is adopted. Adoption of the minutes. We have the Park Committee meeting minutes, which will first be not adopted by the Board of Trustees, but by the Park Committee. I've been in touch with Jim Jackowitz, and so the draft will be sent to the committee members. He's going to send me several dates, and we will get that started again. He had some personal matters he had to deal with, and that's why we haven't had a meeting. And so I'll see what those dates are. I'll be meeting with him, and he's going to go over on what the next meeting for the Park Committee will be and when that date will be, and we'll post that as well. Is there a motion to adopt the Trustee special draft minutes, the comp plan minutes from June 26, 2024?
I'll move for discussion.
And I'll second.
There were errors to these. Again, I had submitted. There were errors on the 626, 702, and 820. The 722 were good as they were. I haven't seen a corrected copy back, and again, I'm kind of concerned that we need to see it before we approve it, because there were a lot of errors. I think over 50, and nobody else submitted any corrections, so I don't think anybody else is looking at these. So I think it's good to have eyes. I'd be for correcting it as submitted, but have you, Mr. Burkholder, reviewed the errors that I provided?
I have not. I was at a convention and I was out this last week. There seems to be a ping pong back and forth on this. So what do you recommend, Mr. Evans, relative? How do we get these corrections to the administrative assistant, and then once she makes those, are you reviewing that then?
Well, like I said, these have been provided for quite a while. I again seem to be the only one that's reviewed these or the corrections submitted. That's where the issue is. There's been the corrected minutes haven't been submitted on the 26th. They have on the 820, but I did not review those. Okay, but I think the board or the administrator can review these, but with her just joining now, we're familiar with what happened back then. So I would encourage you at minimum to review these and submit errors or sign off on the error corrections.
Well, I alone can't sign off on those. The board, when the corrections come on the minutes, that comes to the board, and the board approves as corrected. I have looked at the comprehensive plan. I've looked at some of these other ones. but it seems that they get corrected and they go back out and then there's more corrections. So at this time, I'll move to table the 6/26/2024 minutes, the 7/22/24, no, you're saying those are okay, the 7/2/2024 minutes and the 8/20/24 minutes until they're corrected. Is there a second to the tabling of those minutes?
Yes.
Okay, roll call on the motion to table.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. Now, the 7/22/2024, you say those are good to go?
I reviewed them, but have you reviewed them?
I had looked at those previously, so I don't know how many times you've gone back and forth with new corrections. I've been in touch with the administrative assistant on that. So tonight, there's either a motion to adopt them.
Okay. Well, I'm good.
Okay, then I'll second that motion to adopt. If there's no further discussion, roll call on the approval of the 7/20/22 special meeting of the trustees for 2024.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. Those are adopted, and the others will go on to the 10/15 meeting for adoption, plus any other ones that might be done at that time. This time we have the public comments limited to 3 minutes per person. Agenda items only. Is there anyone that would like to speak? If so, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address, and we'll give you 3 minutes. You'll also have the opportunity at the end of the meeting for another 2 minutes if there are any things on the agenda that you'd like to comment on at that time. Is there anyone that would like to come forward? Yes, sir.
John Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road, Pataskala, Ohio. I want to welcome the new administrator. In the real world, when a new person comes into the organization and somebody starts polishing the works, we call it brown nosing. Mark has already put you on a pedestal. He's already set the bar. He's already established what he expects of you. And good luck. Don't stop too soon because his nose won't be brown, his whole head will be brown. Other than that, I don't think there's a person in this room that knows what's going on with our road project.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Mark was in charge of it 1 year and he screwed it up so bad they removed him the next year. Now he's back on it. I live on Palmer Road. We have had a farm on Palmer Road for 60 years. We started out with gravel. We had tar and chip. Then we had blacktop. Then we had another resurface, and we got center lines and edge lines. Buddy, we're big time. We're no longer country. We have had, in this last week, our road is in worse shape now than it's been in 10 years or more. And we're spending a lot of money. The road crew came out and they used a tar sealing crack machine to fill the cracks. They did it on the north side of the road, nothing on the south side. I guess south side don't have no cracks. Then we turned around and hired a 3, 4, 5 man crew, 3 trucks to come in and remove the 2 center yellow lines, remove the white yellow lines, grind that product off the blacktop. In other words, damage the blacktop by a 1/4 inch or more. From what I've heard is they call that keying because the product they're putting on that top is so thin, if they don't key that to the top, it won't stick, and when the plows come in, they'll push it off to the side like snow. You know, there is a recycle process. That blacktop has been chewed up. Did we get any recourse, or did we get any credit for that? They've dumped that somewhere, and that has a resale value. Right now, I just drove by what they're putting down on this resurfacing on Palmer Road from Mink Street to Lynn's Road. It looks terrible. It looks like tar and chip. a truck was going down through there and he's kicking up dust.
You got 30 seconds.
I know, I figured I was gonna run out of time, but, you know, this is very important for the township. We have spent a lot of damn money on this road. We repaved from Taylor Road to Mink Street, Palmer Road, 2 years ago, $500,000. The road didn't even need it. And when I asked why did we do that, there wasn't a pothole, there wasn't a chip, there was nothing wrong with that road. Oh, because it hasn't had anything done to it for 10 years. Well, if it's in good shape.
3 minutes, your time's up.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll deal with the misinformation during the later meeting.
Yeah, we'll have an update on that. Mr. Evans will address that during.
There was a lot of incorrect information.
Part of the agenda. Anyone else at this time like to come forward? Hearing none, road department. Okay, we have the resurfacing update. Mr. Evans, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, the work had started today. There's two different types of processes going on. There's a Cape seal, which involves a chip seal with an overlying layer of microsurface, and other areas that were better condition are getting microsurface. Today, they were finishing up the Western Palmer section going to Lynn's Road. And the only thing they haven't chip sealed is Smoke Road at the moment. They were sweeping up Refugee Road, so that's all down. So what will come behind that is the microsurfacing layer, which is part of the whole Cape Seal system that we're improving, and that will return it to an asphalt type surface that will last another 5 to 8 years. Instead of ripping up, because I do agree that that Palmer Road section for $500,000 should not have been ripped up and replaced. But the other areas, like I said, once they're done with the chip seal tomorrow on Smoke Road, they will continue with the prep and do the microsurfacing. All work should be completed by the 16th. The prep on our side was slowed down a little bit from the rain. You were talking about the crack seal, which that is a part of all normal maintenance. And all cracks under the Cape Seal sections did not need to be repaired, only the very large ones. So that where there is the microsurface treatment, those cracks all need to be sealed. So what you were saying, somewhere and somewhere, that was purposeful.
Well, the ones that were done.
Sir, but I will say that in the machining of the lines, that was only done where thermal plastic was used. The materials cannot stick well to that, and we want a quality product. We're spending over $600,000 to do a large portion of the township road. Compare that to the $500,000 for that small section of Palmer. So we're greatly improving our road surface, but yeah. Those areas were only ground up, and that was only to take that thermoplastic off. There's no residual value to that because it's got the thermoplastic in that. So they disposed of that, but I'm in constant contact with their crew and their supervisor, and even drove around before the meeting to check everything. Again, one of the issues has been we've been down a man for a month, and with the rain, it's hurt us. We're a little behind right now. I believe today and tomorrow, Bubba's going to try to crack seal the other places, but I've been pushing for a replacement on the road crew, and I haven't been able to get it. So we're coming down to the wire on that stuff. Is there any questions from the board?
Just a correction that we have advertised and received resumes from applicants, which will be discussed at the October 15th meeting. But yeah, I appreciate that explanation of the various processes, and it just depends on what the rim condition is, and there are those two different processes. I did attend, it's probably been over a year ago with Mr. Evans, the training on that, and a lot of it is about preserving the roads rather than always having to do a mill and fill. If there's nothing more on that, the wash bay, I want to announce that it's been a while back, we received from the Ohio EPA just over $32,000, and this is to reduce some of the salt that gets into our streams. So There's several different processes that we're purchasing. The first was the wash bay. It's a scaffolding type of system that is the power washing wands are attached to the side of the wall so you can get up high on the trucks and the sides, and then there's a system that is actually on the floor of the wash bay at the road department, and that has a power washer that shoots up water to get the salt off the bottom of the trucks. There's also a system that will be mounted to the bridges so that it's a subscription system with sensors that will be able to know the temperature of those overpasses and to see if in fact we do need to go out and salt them or we don't have to salt them. And then there's also some new blades that last longer that will be attached to our snow plows. So this is the first. We have 3 different vendors, and I wanted to announce that that first phase is done. And now we have a couple more phases. We pay out of pocket, and then we go back to the EPA through that reimbursement process, and we'll be reimbursed for those funds.
And I'd just like to add, I think we should also look at eventually installing a trench drain in there. I don't know why 1 6-inch drain in that entire bay was installed there. The guys are constantly trying to sweep that water into the drain. I think for long-term use, we might want to look at putting a trench drain.
I did. It's funny you should say that. The other day that came up, and I asked that same question, and there was some reason for that, and I don't recall off the top of my head, but I think Mr. Coakley can kind of inform us, because I had the same question why there wasn't a channel drain in there instead of the round one. But we can ask him what the purpose, why that was done the way it was done. Now, item B, microservicing for Watkins Grove. Mr. Evans, I know you had a request on this, so I'll turn the floor over to you.
Well, that's part of the road services that are being treated, which include 2 sections on Refugee, 3 sections of Palmer all the way from Mink to 310, Lynn's from Palmer to the highway, Smoke Road, and like I said, there's 2 sections on Refugee Road. It also includes Watkins Grove. I had included the northern section, which is the older section of Watkins Grove, which I believe was originally installed in 2006 and repaved in 2013, which after 7 years I was kind of surprised. But the southern section was installed around 2018. It's a much newer section. The road index of the ones that I had proposed were in the 50s to 60s out of 100. Caitlin Drive, which is the southern newer section, is between 80 and 85. It's a much better road condition, so that's why I did not include that. Don Copley, our road superintendent, requested that we consider doing the whole neighborhood because some people might be upset that some's done and some's not. I don't think that's really a good reason to do it. However, I wanted to bring it to the board to give it the board's decision on it. I think if we do the southern section, it'd probably be maybe 3-4 years premature. I was planning on doing that, later on, we continue this type of, maintenance instead of just mill and fill. The total cost was, I believe, the resolution here, $29,608. However, because we couldn't get this in on the last meeting, there's 2 bars on Caitlin Drive for crosswalk that has a thermal striping that would have to be removed. They were removing all the striping last Friday. They had to go ahead. They couldn't wait for us. They don't know if they have walk behind still in the shop, if they'd even be able to remove it. I looked at Sunbelt Rental, a couple other ones. There's nowhere near. Beaver Creek's the closest one that we could get a asphalt miller for the skid steer. So if we did do it, those stripes would be there. I'm not sure what the impact would be, if they could stop before it, or if we just wait till it's time. I mean, it's kind of like having your car with an oil change, 2 cars, one's ready at 5,000, the other one's at 2,000, and you bring both of them in. Do you want to do that? So, do you have any questions or?
Am I correct, they were still here though with the grinding machine today yet? I know they said they thought they'd be done Friday. I talked to Mr. Copley today just to see how things were going. So did they demobilize that machine?
They're not present at this time, so I'm not sure when they left. If they didn't finish up Friday. I was told that they were it was a 1-day operation and they were completing Friday. And when I drove around the areas, like I said, on Palmer, I didn't drive Lynn's yet, but Palmer did have those, that thermoplastic removed, so I wouldn't see them staying around. And I'm not sure if the administrator has any thoughts on, or questions on what we're discussing and being proposed. The entire contract for the Cape Seal and the microsurfacing on, I'm going to show you a map, was just over 600,000. Those are the road areas. And this is the, where's the neighborhood? Yeah, there we go. That's the neighborhood we're talking about.
So what's the preservation value? I mean, you're talking.
Well, we're doing it early. It'll preserve it, and you can do it again. You can re-microsurface again. Again, when we had the roads just evaluated this year, they were at a 80 to 85 level, which is pretty good. And that was without crack sealing. Mr. Copley went through, crack sealed it, so that level is probably even higher now. Again, it's just premature. It is 29,000, but even with that, then we'd have to deal with that thermoplastic, either having them stop before and after it. I think if you went over it, it's just going to come off, and I'm not sure how, if we'd want it patched there. And it's only Caitlin Drive and the 2 stubs up to the earlier section. If you go on Google Earth, you can see in their history timeline that the lower section was, they were still building in, I think, 2019. So they're fairly new roads.
What's your recommendation?
Personally, I don't believe in doing something just for aesthetics. If hey, they got the new stuff and we didn't, it's a newer and older section. Even if we did, I think we're going to be jockeying around trying to deal with those thermal strips while the road crew's still trying to address the crack sealing that needs to be done. Is there any interest from you, Ms. Burkholder, in having the entire neighborhood done at once?
It's an add-on.
It's an add-on of 29,000, 29,600, but the 2.
Is it an add-on at a discount based on the other work that's already being done, or is that just what it would cost us anytime?
The add-on, we're going through the state cooperative bidding process, so it's a set price of what it is, but this is the crosswalks we're talking about. It's just that area, so we could stop before, stop after, probably.
Do you envision any microsurfacing next year?
What's that?
Do you envision any microsurfacing next year in 2025?
We can. There are several neighborhoods where is it not Cameron Chase?
Cumberland Crossing.
Cumberland Crossing, where Mr. Ford lives. There, I know we applied for the OPWC grant, but I think really those roads can be preserved longer. They are older roads, but they're in good condition where this microsurfacing will extend another 8 years. Then you got Russell Heights. You've got a couple other neighborhoods that are getting into 9-10 years where I think it would use it.
From us stopping and starting is that If it's the chip seal that's coming up, starting to stop.
These aren't chip.
Or just.
This is just the micro surface.
Just
and it's
okay.
like 3/8 of an inch, and here's.
Because you can't do that with chip seal, because it's hot bumps.
Yeah.
The last thing you needed a crosswalk where you've got a lot of kids that are going to be bumps.
And here's the neighborhood. Right where the R is where it's stopping, and right where the P is right now. It's that area, that's the 2006 area, that loop in there, and it would add Caitlin and just that little bit.
Well, if there's not a motion by you, Mr. Evans, to move forward, then we will.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to get your opinions on getting it on the same cycle as the whole neighborhood, or, because we're going to have other neighborhoods where we have phase 1, 2, 3. I envision that maybe on the mill and fill part, because eventually we'll have to take it out and replace it. Then maybe you can sync it up after the microsurfacings have.
Yeah, I mean, it is challenging when you have bits and pieces, especially throughout something that's not that large. It's not that large of an area.
Well, if you can't verify that they can mill that, it was my understanding for them to come back to grind that was going to be an additional $5,000 mobilization fee.
$2,500. However, now we're getting into the timing of it because they said Wednesday they're going to start microservice.
Okay, well then I'm
so I just think we're kind of out of time.
Okay.
Then I'd hate to rush it. And
well, then let's move on to new business.
Okay.
Liquor board response. We do have correspondence here. There's been an application for another liquor permit. This was received by our fiscal officer. I know this has been added to the agenda so that we can have a response. I'll open it up to the board. I'm not opposed to actually requesting. I've actually attended these liquor hearings because they want to hear from the jurisdiction whether you're in support or in opposition to granting an additional liquor license. Mr. Evans, do you have any?
Yes, I know the prior ones, we wouldn't even have a discussion on it, and I know there has been some issues with some locations with people drinking, urinating outside. So I think and that's on 40, I think the Suvit Market, or the one where Sycamore's behind. So I'm just concerned that all those shops are selling liquor to go, I believe what this is. So I'm not sure what the administrator's thoughts are on this, but I would be comfortable in allowing the request for a hearing after the administrator reviews it at her discretion.
Well, I don't think it hurts to go through a hearing. I don't think there's so. I will make the motion that we actually request a hearing because we have to have a response by 10/15/24 according to this form. Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second. Yeah, I think that it's just we have to notify them that we're requesting a hearing.
Yeah, it has to be postmarked by 10/15/2024 and they'll set the hearing.
Do we want it in our county seat or in Columbus?
Well, if there's an option, our county seat.
I would say our county seat.
Okay.
We like to travel.
Is there one in Florida?
You don't want to.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. We had talked about item B is equipment for the zoning inspector. We need an iPhone and an iPad, so code enforcement and working out in the field, that data can be entered there with our software, which is iWorks, in discussion with the township administrator and our zoning inspector. We'd like to table this till the October 15th meeting so that the township administrator can have input on that equipment. So I will move to table. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second. I was going to suggest that.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, thank you. Item is tabled till the 15th. That will be on the 15th agenda. Township request for engineering assistance, Etna Crest Boulevard extension. There is a form that we need to, I guess, relative to setting the speed limit on that, and we need to pass a motion to, and I'll make that motion that we request that Etna Township request for engineering assistance as it comes to the Etna Crest Boulevard extension. And that form was being handled by our zoning consultant, also by our zoning inspector. And is there a second to the motion?
I'll second, but are you talking about the engineer's form to request? Because there's an actual form that two of us have to sign to request assistance. That's the one?
I believe so. I don't know.
Okay. Is there, really, there should be part of the agenda packet so we know, because I had no idea what this was pertaining to, but.
Do we have that?
Because it's going to need 2 signatures of a.
And the reason that we put it on this special was the time sensitivity, so. And I'll be happy to get you a copy of that once we talk, probably tomorrow when we talk to. As I said, I was out last week, so I would ask for passage so that we can meet the timeline on this, but be able to get that document out to the other 2 trustees.
And that's to set the speed limit?
That's what was my understanding, that as far as the engineering assistance, I don't think we as a township, we can't set speed limits on that, because the thing that was holding them up, they were concerned that was going to get held up at the county regarding the fact that there has to be a speed limit assigned to that. And they were worried that they couldn't proceed with that if they didn't have that. So in our discussions with the zoning department, I said, well, I think we need to request the assistance. This is a safeguard so that we don't hold them up.
Okay, because I would assume that Etna Crest is already present, that there is a posted speed, whether there's a sign or not. But yeah, that's fine.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
She's getting the motion or the paper so we can sign it.
Okay, thank you. Fiscal officer's report. I'll turn it over to Ms. Continuo.
I have the purchase orders, which you should all have a copy of.
All right.
So I'll move to approve resolution number 2024-046 to approve purchase orders as presented.
I'll second it. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Item B, motion to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, questions?
Yeah, hold on, let me pull it up.
Take your time.
Does this period also include employee payroll?
Yes. It should.
It's not listed.
You see our payroll.
Yeah, I see the trustees, but I
Right.
don't see any individuals except Ted Walker for, I guess.
Well, they don't get paid till Friday.
Okay, so it's not within this period. Okay, I was just questioning. That's good.
And we have medical mutuals, the life insurance, correct?
Correct.
And that has been reinstated, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. So that amount catches us up, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, motion passes. Item C, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. I'll move. Is there a second?
I'll second, but should we, that's a resolution, should we number that 2024-049?
That's fine with me.
24-049.
Okay.
Questions or discussion? fiscal officer?
I don't see the amounts here. Were the amounts what you sent previously?
And this is due.
It was
due on the 1st.
Okay.
And since we didn't have the meeting,
Right.
accepted the 2nd, and I told him to be over there tomorrow once I got everybody approved.
Very good.
okay. And again, I'd request that any of the materials just be included. It's much easier if it's all in one place.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. Motion passes. Any transfers?
No.
Okay. We have a payout for an employee that resigned, Mr. Foster. We conferred with the new township administrator today to make certain that we're in compliance with the union contract on how that vacation time is calculated. And so I'm going to make a motion that we pay out that unused vacation to Mr. Foster in accordance with the township administrator's determination. We've had brief discussions since this is her first day, but I want to make certain that we get that correctly calculated and then paid out to Mr. Foster. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Wouldn't this be the same thing that we dealt with Ms. Brown and Mr. Singleton on vacation?
That's a good point. We had that discussion today, although it was pointed out, and I'm glad it was, that the union contract, the union contract might supersede the handbook. And there's also,
I would think so.
And the other thing that has arisen is how we accrue that. We've had these previous discussions that our system isn't set up to show accrual every pay period, which I think it should be. And so that's something we've talked about in future conversations, both with the handbook, that we have a system that, which I'm used to, every pay period you accrue a certain amount of hours based on your longevity with the township.
Yeah, no, there's still a lot of errors in that handbook, and we need to review that.
And like you said, Mr. Evans, we wanted to make sure, as you know, because we dealt with the Mr. Singleton thing, that we get that accurate, so we treat Mr. Foster fairly.
The union contract's probably due up next year. That's when we need to revise.
In May.
In May. So we need to start looking at revising this.
Yeah, what we need, first we need to look at the budget, and I mean, that'll be on the plate. And again, with the union contract, but I know last time there was a violation of the Open Meetings Act in doing it. I think we'll get it right this time.
Well, I think if you let Susan and I work on the budget and some of the other stuff and some open meetings or
Okay.
workshops, that we should be okay.
Well, we can all work with her, but
let's stick to the agenda since it's a special.
But I'm comfortable in Ms. Bledsoe's review of this and whatever she determines.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, motion passes. We now have public comments limited to 2 minutes per person, agenda items only. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this time? Please come to the podium, state your name and address, and direct your comments to the board. Thank you.
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I didn't have this as a thought for you talking tonight, but there is a device called a poly cleaner. It actually grinds off the lines and does not leave the marring marks that Mr. Crowder mentioned. It looks like it's very limited distribution, but there is a dealer in Michigan. It also works for tripping hazards. So it's something you could actually, if concrete is unlevel, you can run it across like this and level concrete out. It's hard for me at the time. I've been sitting back there figuring exactly how much, depending which model you look at, but it could be anywhere between $30,000 and $40,000 just for the attachment. Although it is a lot of money, I think that's something that would be right in line to be proposed or researched and proposed at the next GED meeting, because there's a lot of equipment opportunities there. I feel the board, with everything else going on and other actions not being taken, it might be something you guys could maybe get the GED board to approve for you. So if you'd like some further information on it, I can share it with you, but it's something I think you should consider, because that way if you're in the similar boat next year with lines, you wouldn't have that issue. Thank you.
I appreciate the note. Thank you. Anyone else?
Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road, Mataska. I guess I got 2 more minutes to talk about the roads.
You do.
Do we have a new zoning inspector?
We do.
We do.
Yes.
I don't know, they talk about all the problems we've had with the warehouses and not being built according to specs and what have you, and all the neighbors complaining about different things and issues. With the road issue, I'm concerned that money's being spent, the taxpayers' money's being spent, plus Etna Township residents' money's being spent. We know he likes to spend money, his and other people's, so we got to keep an eye, a handle on this. Why is it that they removed the lines on Palmer Road from Lynn's Road to 310, but they didn't remove the lines on Palmer Road from Tollgate to Lynn's?
They're painted.
Somebody is paying to have this done, and if we're not having it done, then the job's not being done right, because they say the lines have to come off, and they don't take the lines off. I come down that section of Palmer Road at 2 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, they had that crap put on there already. How long does a road need to be closed after they apply that micro servicing?
It can be drivable, I think, within an hour.
Within an hour. I think it's 1 to 2 hours. It says there's no traffic allowed on that road for 1 to 2 hours for it to cure. I wonder if it was closed for 2 hours or 1 hour. I'd be very surprised. Did they do half the road, or did they close the road completely?
30 seconds.
So, I know I've got a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and it's mainly, you can tell by the attendance tonight why there's nobody here, because it's a Monday night, not Tuesday night. People don't get the communication. I still get the Mataska Standard. I'm old school. I read that little paper. It's amazing what you find. We found out that somebody recorded executive sessions.
Time, Mr. Kennard. You have time, and that's not on the agenda. That's not on the agenda,
Never heard of it.
It's not on the agenda, Mr. Kennard. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Announcements, trustee comments.
Yes, I'd like to correct again misinformation. You indicated, asked about the microsurface, how long it takes. It's approximately an hour. They haven't microsurfaced yet. They've chip sealed, and you can drive immediately. You can drive immediately upon the chip seal, so you don't have to shut it down. You don't have to do anything like that. So it's good to have the proper facts and information before you make some accusations, sir. It's.
I didn't say that's microsurface. I said it was crap.
No, you said microsurfacing, but anyway, sir, this is my time. I'm trying to explain some facts here, because again, I'm the one that's trying to save us millions of dollars by actually maintaining the roads instead of milling and filling. Just the refugee sections alone, those 2 sections, would have exceeded what we're doing on all these roads in Watkins Grove. So we're improving the overall quality of our roads, lessening the costs. Again, that $500,000 on Palmer should not have been done. So
let's stay.
But I'm explaining.
Let's stay on topic. I don't want to go back and relitigate.
Yeah, and because I'm trying to all these false allegations and attacks. Please, we got to move forward and away from this nonsense and getting to the business of this township and protecting residents in that. I did want to announce that the burn ban is still in effect. Halloween, just a reminder, for Etna is Thursday, 10/31, 6 to 8. Sir, please.
I can't hear a thing.
6 to 8 for Etna. New England Acres is doing it Saturday, 10/26, 5:30 to 7:30. The other items weren't on the agenda, so I won't speak about. And that's all I have.
Very good. Our next trustee meeting will be next Tuesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. We are going to have an emergency meeting right after this meeting in order to get our air conditioner fixed. It's working in this room, but not in the main offices. And we have to have an emergency meeting in order to approve the amount of the expenditure, which will be not to exceed $2,500. That's all I have at this time. Appreciate you coming. We'll have the full agenda at the next meeting. If there's no further comments, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. We stand adjourned at 6:51 p.m. And I will move to call an emergency meeting, which has been put out to the news media as required, here at 6:52 for the purpose of dealing with the emergency of getting the air conditioning repaired here at 81 Liberty Street in the office area of the Township Hall. Is there a second to call the meeting? Well, I guess we'll call the meeting.
Roll call.
I guess we'll call the meeting, and so roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes. Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here. And I guess we'll take a motion to approve the specific purpose and item, which is to get the air conditioning repaired. Also move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. That special purpose agenda item is approved by motion, and I'll ask the Township Administrator, do you want to comment on this? We do have the estimate here.
Yeah, this was when my understanding before I started, that there had been some issues. They thought that they had originally.
You need to speak into the mic.
Well, I feel like I'm loud. Originally, they had come out, thought that they had fixed the issue, but it again had stopped working, leaking all over the place. So this is simply to repair, which we are hopeful that it'll add another, minimum of at least 5 years onto the system in order to replace the coil, which is what is leaking, and so we can't keep any of the refrigerant in. So total cost is $2,367.45. $2,367.45. Unfortunately, that's just that part happens to be a more costly part, but again, it simply will not work without the repair.
So I'll make a motion that we approve for Weston Air LLC, located at 725 Kinder Parkway, Sunbury, Ohio 43074. To come out and repair that. The quote is at $2,367.45. I'll make the motion to
We already moved and seconded. You didn't include the amount.
Well, not to exceed $2,500 in case there's any ancillary items.
So you want to do it 3,000? Just, I mean, that's only 140 bucks extra, 135.
I'm fine with the 3,000. So let me correct that to 3,000. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
And I appreciate that. Any further discussion?
Susan, are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, motion passes. That's approved.
Move to adjourn.
We'll contact them tomorrow, or
They'll be here in the morning.
They're coming in the morning. Great. Mr. Evans made the motion to adjourn. I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes. We stand adjourned, and thank you for your patience.
Your first meeting is over.